using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert.
All right, what's happening? Welcome to the show, Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. Robert Webb is in the house with us, and we've got a guest in studio. We'll get to her in just a moment. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm up in this piece, man.
How was your weekend?
It was a weekend, baby.
You celebrate in Super Bowl? You win some money?
Nah, man.
You didn't?
I had a great weekend, though.
Oh, okay. What'd you do?
San Francisco lost. I had a great weekend.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
okay.
San
So
Francisco
you were
lost.
further for the Chiefs then?
No, I wanted them both to lose.
Oh, okay.
But unfortunately, one
One
had
had
to
to
win.
lose.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's weird logic, but you know I've grown accustomed to that with you.
Yeah, I want them both to lose, man.
Yeah.
I didn't want nobody to win the Super Bowl.
Just
Cowboys
want-
ain't playing. I don't
Just
care.
wanted to be a tie.
Yeah, just a tie.
Yeah, a tie.
We have to decide next year.
Or do like Bane did in the Batman movie where he just blew up the stadium. And,
That's it.
yeah, there you go.
Be done. Let's be done with it. That's it.
All right, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I apologize. I don't have a tease for today. And the reason being is that I'm doing production for Black History Month and time snuck
For
up
Black
on me.
History Month, what are you talking about? I'm confused here.
I'm doing vignettes for Arkansas Black historians. So I was doing production and time kind of snuck up on me.
David sold out.
How you figure I've sold out?
David sold out. Dave, just admit it. Just say you sold out. Dave.
Sold out to
You
what?
sold out. To the
For-
establishment. Dave sold out to the establishment.
For doing
And we
Black
have a
History
guest, And you
vignettes.
sold out.
For doing Black
Can't
History
believe it.
vignettes.
She may not even want to do the show now.
For doing
She
Black
realized
History
you
vignettes.
You sold out, Dave.
You know, it's kind of fun to see this banter in person.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I've listened to it enough. It's kind of fun to watch facial expressions while you're doing it.
Exactly. So you don't get that part on the radio.
oh gosh.
You're listening
okay.
to it.
All right. So okay, I've sold out. But either way, I don't have a tease to the show today. So I
You
apologize.
sold out.
Okay. All right. Whatever you want to believe, my brother. But
Do you even like black people?
I am
Look.
getting a little uncomfortable now.
It's not as funny
Okay.
as black people. You'll be okay.
all right, look, I am not going to start the week with that mess. Okay. I'm going to turn your mic off very quickly, and Peggy and I will conduct the interview between intelligent
Without me,
people.
right?
Exactly.
It'd be my pleasure.
There you go. So, anyway, before we start the show, you know what we got to do? We got to do Black Facts. So let's do that right now. All right, you know, every day we do Black Facts. We don't wait till February to talk about Black history because obviously we live Black history every day. So, and you know, we like to do Black Facts every day. So those of you who are just now beginning to do it because it's February, good for you, but don't just wait till February. So I'm going to give you 8 items that were that you probably didn't know that were invented by Black people. Okay, one is the automatic elevator doors. Alexander Miles patented a mechanism to automate elevator doors in 1887 after his daughter almost took a fatal fall into an elevator shaft. Prior to his invention, riding an elevator was often complicated and dangerous. People would have to manually shut the doors and the shaft. Ooh. Wow. Forgetting to do so would often result in accidents with riders falling down elevator shafts. Miles' door designs were largely reflected in the elevator doors that we use today. An improved ironing board. In 1892, Sarah Boone patented a design improvement for the ironing board. Boone expanded upon the ironing board's original design, which was created by Black inventor Elijah McCoy in 1874. Boone's design took what was essentially just a horizontal block of wood and thinned it out to create a more narrow and curved board. Her design improvements made it easier to iron garments, particularly women's garments. Modern day ironing boards are designed based on Boone's invention. Boone was one of the first black women in U.S. history to receive a patent. Refrigerator trucks. Produce to your local grocery stores is able to stay fresh largely due to the invention of refrigerator trucks by Frederick McKinley Jones. In 1940, Jones patented a cooling system that merchants used to preserve goods on trucks during extended periods of travel. Jones went on to co-found the U.S. Thermal Control Company, which later became, I didn't know this, Thermo King. Wow, I didn't know that.
You learn something new every day.
That's why I love Black Facts.
You learn something new every day.
The company played a vital role in World War II by helping preserve blood, food, and other supplies. Before Jones's invention, the only way to keep goods cold during transport was using ice, thus the icebox, by the way. Let's see, the three-signal traffic light. In 1923, Garrett Morgan invented the three-signal traffic light featuring the yellow signal that alerts drivers when to yield. Morgan developed the design by witnessing a cargo accident in a busy intersection in Cleveland, Ohio. Morgan's design inspired the modern three-way traffic light currently used in the United States, Britain, and Canada. He later sold the rights to his patent to General Electric for just $40,000. Wow. By the way, he also created the gas mask, too. Home security system. In 1966, Nurse Mary Van Brittan Brown developed an early version of the home security systems we use today. Brown created the device to put her mind at ease about the high levels of crime in her neighborhood of Queens, New York. Brown's device allowed a camera to be used through the peepholes in her front door. The camera's view was then projected onto a monitor in her house, which allowed her to survey unwanted visitors. Brown added a microphone and buttons to unlock the door and contact police before patenting the system in 1969. Central heating furnace. Alice H. Parker. And you know what I love about these is that a lot of these were women too, okay? Alice H. Parker patented the central heating furnace in 1919. Her design used natural gas to supply heat to homes instead of fireplaces, which were ineffective at heating more than one room. You remember that because you lived down the boonies. Y'all just had that big stove in the middle of the floor, right? Parker's furnace also allowed users to independently control the amount of heat used in each room. Many homes today use similar forced air heating systems modeled after Parker's design. The mailbox. In 1891, Philip B. Browning invented the street letter box, which became the predecessor to the mailboxes we use today. Before Downing's inventions, individuals who needed to send mail would have to travel to the post office. Downing's letterbox was made of metal and featured a secure hinge door for dropping letters. His design prevented mail from being damaged during inclement weather. And those are our Black Facts for today.
I guess he does like black folks a little bit.
And if you would like to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts, give me a call at 615-554-0568. And, you know, during this time of the year, y'all ought to be calling me up, giving me Black Facts, okay? Anyway, they should. I mean, I've been giving them all year, 365 days. Can a black man get a little love? Okay. All right. We got a guest in studio. I won't be too mean to you today, Robert. Okay. We've got Peggy Egan in studio. I see Peggy everywhere.
She's all over the place.
Peg. Yeah. Pick Peg. Exactly. Before we talk to Peggy, I want to remind people today is the last day to register to vote, to vote in the primaries for March 3rd. Yeah. So get your butt down to the polls, get registered. And remember, we're having an experiment. And that experiment is that we're going to vote. Even if you hadn't voted before, even if you hadn't voted in a long time, You're going to vote this time. We're having an experiment. I want everybody to participate. Let's see what your vote does if you vote in these upcoming elections. Let's just try it. I want to hear, oh, voting don't mean anything to me. I ain't getting nothing out of my vote. Let's just go along with us, okay? We're going to talk about this every day. We're having an experiment in voting. We need everybody to get registered to vote, okay? All right, that's my public service announcement. Coming to the mic, we have Peggy Egan. Peggy Egan. Hey, Peggy, how you doing?
Good morning. I'm fabulous. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, we're glad to have you in studio today. I see Peggy just about in every meeting I go to, and but Peggy is running for office. Peggy, tell us what you're running for and how listeners can help.
Well, on our ballots that will be starting to get filled out if you haven't done it by absentee.
By the way, Russell Braycop says hi, Peg.
Hi, Russ. Now I forgot to answer. I'm for state district court judge. It's commonly referred to as Little Rock Traffic Court.
Little Rock Traffic Court. Okay, Peggy, give us a little background on you and what you did before you ran for this office.
Well, it's thank you for that. My most recent background is this. Since I came here to Arkansas and went to the Bowen School of Law, where I discovered a thing called indigent criminal defense.
Okay.
I have worked for the Public Defender's Office since my graduation. My first job was representing juveniles that were charged as adults. That was a pretty interesting discovery of a system that I thought worked one way, and it was uncomfortable to argue why certain juveniles' cases were already considered so serious to be subject to adult incarceration when they were just kids.
Right.
They were kids who deserved opportunities to change their behaviors and to improve their own circumstances without, for example, sending them to the pen for 20 years. Or even for life. My very first trial was as a volunteer because I so believed this young man was not guilty of capital murder.
Okay.
It was my first year of trial. And I represented him because he was a juvenile charged with capital murder. And I remember the judge looking at that young man's eyes and saying, "You are beyond rehabilitation." And I felt that, I gave myself goosebumps just repeating that right now. And I can remember everything about it. Fortunately, that young man's case was hung jury on the trial, and by the time of the second trial, the state decided to dismiss the case.
Really? Way to go, Peggy.
Well, I was proud. I worked underneath Lot Roth. I can't otherwise say anything about him. He is another candidate for a different judgeship. Okay. Except that we worked so hard and long on that case in order to at least put reasonable doubt into a whole lot of jurors the first time around. And the doubt that I still have, I believe we represented an innocent man, and a kid at the time, but now a man. But the long story short is, you asked about my background, and I have seen things in every court in this county. I have watched the impact on individuals by decisions of judges in every court in this county. I know what I think is fair. I know what I think is compassionate. And I'm running for judge because of those things.
Thank you. You did the whole tearjerker thing, didn't you?
I mean, that was good. I find it interesting, and you talked about being a public defender. We had Ferranda Brasfield on the show on Friday talking about the case in Jacksonville. And by the way, fortunately, the Jacksonville City Council voted to have that DNA evidence tested. That was a big contention, so we'll get an update on that. But as a public defender, when you're dealing with situations that you just described, the young man, how I'm trying to. I know they say the courts ought to be blind, but I don't understand the lack of compassion, particularly when it comes to children. Can you speak to that? What is that reasoning, or what's the logic by not being able to look at a young person who has committed a crime, although it might be bad, to say that he's incorrigible and he is beyond rehabilitation?
I've had that same question for years now. I will tell you honestly, until discovering criminal law while a law student, and until being in the midst of it, I was probably like a lot of people, and that is, the police get it right. They don't mismanage evidence. They don't lie. They don't set people up to give false confessions. And just the whole concept of a system that the general public wants to believe is working for the good of us all.
Right.
Not at the detriment of the handful of people who may or may not have committed crimes, but really, frankly, and it's supposed to work the way it's supposed to work.
Right.
So your question, though, is how can we do that with young people? I don't know. Since the day I took the job representing juveniles charged as adults, I wanted the law in this state to change so that all children are brought to juvenile court first. And only those, that is to say, young people aged 10 and up who can be charged, and the 13 and up who can be charged as adults, that all those cases should start in juvenile court.
Let me ask
And
you.
then let a judge decide whether the behavior and the circumstances and the previous efforts at rehabilitation make it subject to adult punishment. But we don't do it here. We do it backwards. We charge teenagers residential burglary, robberies, little marijuana drug deals gone bad. We charge them all as a serious adult criminal offense
Really?
first. Then we, the attorneys for the juveniles, have to try to convince a judge that this person can be salvaged, judge, without having to give him an adult sentence. Yeah,
Are you serious?
I'm serious. And I'll tell you the worst part about that, and it has nothing to do with my campaign, it has nothing to do with the court I'm seeking now.
Right.
It's a traffic court. It'll have
Two
a
totally
hand-
different animals.
it'll have a whole, but it has people in it.
Right.
And the hardest part for me is that, generally speaking, a juvenile charged with a serious crime, and some of these behaviors are serious. There are crime victims that make it, more hard to deal with, but it's still juvenile.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a young person who maybe commits an aggravated robbery,
Okay.
gets arrested today, gets a bond he cannot make. Because he could never make it anyway, he's only 16, but whose family can't make it.
Right.
He might be in jail for 4 months before he sees his first circuit court judge to say not guilty. And then the system, it could take a year and a half to get to the point of a judge saying, nope, now you're 17 and a half. We can only give you services for a few more years. May as well treat you like an adult. And I know that's a kind of lightened way to do it, and I'm not discounting. I've had a
Right.
lot of what we call juvenile transfer hearings, and I'm not just, those judges do the best they can. We have responsibilities as defense attorneys. The prosecution has an obligation, and the judge makes the final decision about whether a juvenile case might be handled better in juvenile court or should remain in adult court.
Adult court. Man.
And it's tricky. It's hard. I personally have said for years, I wish everybody would throw all the guns into a pile and melt them into the biggest piece of sculpture I've ever seen.
Right.
Because it's too tempting for young people to use a firearm with no idea of the long-term consequences of it.
Yeah. Man, Peggy. So you've been a prosecutor since you got out of law school. You've been not a prosecutor, but you've been a public defender since you got out of high school, right? I mean, law school. Jesus.
Yeah. Law school was I went to law school at 41. I was
Really?
teaching high school biology.
So you're a school teacher.
Yep. So some of these same kids that played around too much in my class, all of a sudden I'm representing them because they've committed offenses.
Wow.
Really?
So that's got to be heartbreaking.
It's always heartbreaking to me. It's heartbreaking. There are young people that I have negotiated agreements with. I will be long dead before they're even eligible to be released from the Department of Correction.
Really?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
So you went back to law school at 41,
Yes, sir.
and you've been practicing law for what? You've been at the
17 years.
17 years.
Now he's telling all y'all how old I am.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to
It
do
is.
that, but
Law school takes 3 years, by the way, but add those years on there. case you're doing the
Doing the
math.
math. So you this is not your first time running for judge. I remember you ran. Was it back in?
Just 2018.
2018.
That was a special election for a two-year seat.
Right.
Also a district court judgeship.
Okay.
That was Division 1 of Little Rock District Court, and that would be the criminal division.
Okay.
And I did run for that. I was very, very humbled by the amount of votes I got. If anybody listening voted for Peg that time, I appreciate it still.
You're welcome.
I've thanked people forever. I gotta say, it was just a very humbling experience because I went in there with criminal justice reform as my tagline, and I did really well.
You did.
And I was pleased. But now this election term, I'll tell everybody, if you haven't heard it yet, and if you have hurried out there and got your registration done or address changed, it's a very important election. On March 3rd, because it's a general election for judges. Some judges will be picked on that day. Some judges picked in this general election for judgeship will probably own their seats for 20 to 30 years.
Wow.
Because people don't run against sitting judges as a rule.
Why not?
Well, it's hard. It's difficult. First of all, on the ballot, it'll say, for example, in my own race, I'm just Peggy Egan. I'm running against Judge
Vic
Vic
Fleming.
Fleming.
But you know.
And so some people, but some voters who are unawares that it's even a judicial election time, or just as soon pick somebody with experience, might just say, well, I recognize that name. He's been doing that a while. He must be good.
Right.
And so you got that difficulty. You also have the kind of the unspoken among attorneys kind of thing about maybe having been around long enough to
Earn the judgeship.
earn it, and therefore give them a chance. And I think that's basically how it goes. Once you're in, you're in. Unless you're really bad.
Yeah, like Fleming.
Well, I don't know that.
I can't say that.
I'm
Because
not.
I can't say that.
I did not.
You
say
just
that.
did.
I can't say that on the air, can I?
So, Peggy, tell us why this position you're running for is important. Why should just regular Sally John and Joe Blow be concerned about traffic court?
Well, you just don't know what effect traffic court might have on you until you're there. It might be your child, it might be your cousin, it might be you, and you might get a ticket, and the ticket might say you should have been in court last week. Of course, you put that ticket in the laundry and then kind of half forgot about the ticket, and you finally got around to thinking about that ticket. You call the court, and somebody says there's a warrant out for your arrest.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we can do better than that. I don't think people intentionally miss court to the degree that people are charged with failure to appear in court. I think we've become, the court system, I think, in my experience, has become, I don't know, maybe they just want it to flow easier, but it seems almost mean.
Yeah.
It's almost so authoritatively inflexible that people are afraid. They're afraid almost to come to court, even for a speeding ticket.
Right.
People think, am I going to jail for a speeding ticket? Well, generally you don't go to jail for a lot of things until you fail to comply with a court order.
Okay.
So a traffic ticket was not a court order. It's basically a summons to court.
Right.
But it's not issued by the judge. So and human beings who have babies and sick babies and cars that break down and
Jobs they can't get off of.
and jobs they can't get off of, especially. So I recognize that. I watch it day in and day out. Day in and day out, I see the impact of how people are treated in district courts. And I want to at least, try to make it a little more appropriate. Because the ultimate goal for traffic court is safer commuting.
Right.
You're talking about the inventor of the traffic light, and all I could think was, and yellow does not mean speed up and run through. I mean,
Robert, you didn't do that, do you?
Yeah,
all I see now as I'm running for traffic judge and think to myself, what am I going to do if that person's in my court? Because
There
I
he is
just
right there in
saw
front of
him,
you.
and I know that is, you know, and sometimes you have to go through it. I'm on occasion say, oh shoot, I can't slow down, just go through it. And that's what yellow is, kind of. Slow down if you can.
I was
Slow down
I was
your
always
shoes.
taught that yellow is speed up so you can make it.
Well, I'm
I
afraid,
didn't know that.
I'm afraid that a lot of people have, at least maybe weren't taught it, but have decided that's part of the traffic game. And traffic flow is not a game, it's serious. Cars are bigger, there's lots of us out there.
Right.
People need to be properly insured, people need to be licensed, people need to have their tags updated. But I don't think I need to kill you to get you to cooperate.
Yeah. Let me tell you my biggest issue. So I want to talk to you a little about traffic court. A couple of months ago, Russ and I, we went to Judge Fleming's court, and we went because we wanted to see the racial breakdown. And the racial breakdown was disappointing. It was overwhelmingly black. And Judge Fleming has always, even I was actually before Judge Fleming once, and he was an ass. I mean, he's been an ass consistently. I even worked with a couple of different families who had issues in traffic court, and I remember one in particular that I was so irritated with him. I had to send him an email and tell him how disrespectful he was to this couple. This couple, they sent them a letter saying that their court date had been rescheduled, right? And they had made preparations to be there for the first day. But when they sent them a letter like 2 days before it was supposed to happen. The lady, she was a school teacher, and her husband, I can't remember what he does now, but he didn't have the kind of job that he could just say, okay, you know what? I need to go to court with my kid tomorrow, so I need to be off. Judge Fleming really talked. They ended up going later. And Judge Fleming was really rude to them, saying that they're not responsible, and he dresses them up and down in front of their kid. I thought that was a bit much. I'm thinking, who are you? You can't be. I mean, I really have an issue with judges who try to tell people what they are and who they are. You don't know these people. Just because you can't judge someone based on one incident. And I feel Judge Fleming is really good at that. He, for whatever reason, you're in the court, and he says, you know what? You're not responsible. You don't know if these people are responsible or not. I mean, they missed a court date. That does not make them irresponsible. That's one thing that really bothers me about judges. I forgot what my question was, Dave.
Yeah, that was a good soliloquy.
Yeah, but I forgot my question.
That's called old man's disease.
Yeah, I've been hanging out with you too long. Jesus, what was my question now, Dave?
I don't know, but I'm going to stall, so maybe you can think of it. And that is that basically, as I've been campaigning for this seat, I have been open in telling people that my experience in that particular court is very minimal. So in 17 years of practicing in this county, I bet I haven't been in there 15 times.
Okay.
And when I'm in there as an attorney that's not assigned to that court, I can get in and out. So I am not familiar with what goes on with the people sitting in the room, or even how the judge might treat individuals who are not represented by attorneys.
Right.
So it's an interesting concept that, we have this separate system, this court system, and we have the bailiff in the court, the person taking notes, and a handful of clerks, and the prosecutor, the city attorney, the public defender maybe, and private clients coming in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize that for many people, their first appearance in that court is their first, and might be their only appearance in a court of law ever.
Ever, yeah.
Just because we know we need to be there on time, and we know that Tuesdays is trial days or Wednesdays is first appearance days, just because our lives are governed by that schedule doesn't make the person who's gotten their first ticket of their life or their first mandatory court appearance ticket of their life look at it the same way we do.
Right.
And so I wish that judges would take more time, be a little bit more compassionate, be a little bit more flexible, and more importantly, take the time to listen to the people in front of them.
Okay.
Ask them a question and find out before you downgrade them. And I was going to say, I have not observed the type of behavior you just described. I have heard about it from other people as I'm campaigning.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, it happens more often than I would like to know, according to people. But I don't know that. He's always treated me with the utmost respect, my clients with the utmost respect. So I just don't know that firsthand. And I'm sorry for you, because it's already still got you fired up. And I gave you plenty of time to remember your question.
You did. Now, my question was, so do you think, as a judge, would you be one of the judges to give your, I mean, because again, they're basing this whatever judges feel that they think about people on one incident. They don't know anything about these people as people based on one traffic stop and one court appearance. Would you agree?
I agree. And I think, unfortunately, that sometimes judges maybe they see something so many times. For example, the issue of missing court is kind of a, time expensive. It's a complicated thing. You have a docket, and the docket says 100 people should come to court today, and only 50 show up. And while 50 people may have a good explanation for why they weren't there, now I need to perhaps make time to listen to why they weren't there. Yeah, I think I have to, because I think that's the law, that if for a failure to appear conviction to happen, it has to be without good cause.
Right.
But judges get frustrated day after day, and then all of a sudden you, who have never had a failure to appear, but something happened and you didn't know how to handle it, and you did the best you could, all of a sudden now have more of a fine and court cost than you would have had in the first place. I've seen no seatbelt tickets, a $70 ticket, get a failure to appear for the judge ruling that's not a good reason to miss my court. And I'd like to think that I'm going to be a little more sensitive to the reality of people's lives and the impact of a conviction and additional fines and costs. I can't promise what's going to happen, certainly in any case, but I can promise to at least slow down what appears to be a giant fine and court cost machine.
Right. Well, the thing that always has troubled me is that if you go to court with anybody, I worked with a lady about 3 years ago, and this is what blew my mind. She had like you said, a seatbelt ticket that was, I think it was $140 because it was her and someone else in her car.
Two seatbelt tickets.
Two seatbelt tickets. Yeah, it was $140. She couldn't. She forgot what day she took off the wrong day for court, and when she went to work, she couldn't. Her manager said she could leave and go to court, but they got busy. She got caught up. When she finally left and went to court, court was over. Right? They told her no big deal. Just come back next week, and they gave her a court date. Right?
Perfect. Sounds perfect.
Sounds
so
perfect,
far.
right? Sounds perfect. They gave her a court date for next week. Whatever reason, she forgot or whatever happened.
Not so perfect.
Yeah, not so perfect.
Yeah.
She goes back. She has a warrant for arrest. She has all these fees and fines. $140 ticket is now like 300 some bucks. And she starts making a payment plan. Now, the lady has 2 kids. I mean, it just got to the point where she said, a couple of times I just couldn't pay. I didn't have enough money. And she said that she didn't pay it. She got another warrant for her arrest. Before it was over with, she had $1,000. She had $1,000 bill that started out as $140. And had she just, I mean, not saying that she wasn't complicit, but these things can snowball really quickly. And I don't think that courts are really sensitive to the needs of people who are trying to work. I think they lump everybody in as being, they're just trying to get over on us. They don't want to come to court. Would you be more sensitive to situations like that? And what could y'all do about maybe not having all the fines and fees? I mean, maybe saying, you know what, we're not gonna charge you. We're not gonna make you pay the $100 to the state to get your license reinstated. We're gonna waive that $100 and just let you go.
I should have brought a notepad if you were going to ask all these questions in one sentence.
Okay, about that.
But I'll start with sensitivity to circumstances
Okay.
and ultimate consequences. I think I'm going to try to be that way. I'm that way every single day. I
Okay.
argue full time about the impact on my clients of this fine or court cost or this order or or handling such a way. Let's get back to the lady who maybe, I presume it was a minor not seat belted, that's why she got 2 tickets. Because if you're in my car not belted, it's your ticket, it's not my ticket. Just so you know.
I agree.
That's your ticket. But let's just get back to that unfortunate circumstance. And I have to believe that that person is even better equipped to maneuver in a system than some of my clients that I see, not the same client, but the type of clients I see,
Right.
who's they don't even know what day to day is. Because they're just not the same equipped to handle what we expect them to handle. We expect everybody to function at this level
Right.
and do it perfectly and do it on time for sure.
Right.
And payments and things come up. I think flexibility. So I think to start with communication is a big deal thing that courts could do a better job of communicating. They have staffs. We have all this technology now. If somebody died, I guarantee you we can find everybody.
Mhm.
I don't know the answer to it right now today, but I know one of my goals, should I become a judge, is to improve communication between the people expected to be in court and the court staff, such that we don't have a warrants issue, that we get people to court, because if you have to come to court, you have to come to court,
Right.
and we have to do it. So that's a lot of hafters in the room. There's
Yeah.
another one I just added on. That I might have forgotten the second question. I can only promise to do the best job that I can do. I do know this. My understanding is, and my belief is that we have a courtroom downtown that's been basically primarily traffic court for a long time, and it's empty most of the day. Well, if you got an empty room, I got a lot of flexibility. I can schedule kids teenagers who might get tickets to come to court after school's out. School gets out at 3, you better be in court by 3:30.
Okay.
Parents maybe can get off work easier at 3:30 than they could get off work at 7:30 or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure precisely the start and end times in that particular court.
Got fans. Peggy got
Oh,
fans.
do I? Oh,
But-
y'all are funny because I don't know what I'm doing here except trying to answer your questions.
So let me ask you a question. I think Robert was referring to this, and maybe he missed the mark. But when you go into a traffic court and you see 90% black defendants, 10% white defendants, and I'll tell you, we had the police chief here.
95% black.
Well, 95. We had the police chief here a few months ago who intimated that part of that is that maybe white people just pay their fines and don't go to court.
Fixie, you want me to answer that, really?
But my question is, if you win this election, when you see that, just based on what I've described, what are your thoughts? Because when you look at it, almost suggests that only black people commit traffic crimes. White people are still the majority in this Pulaski County. Yet there are so few of them that are in traffic court. The numbers don't seem to add up. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, unfortunately, out of the judge's hand, because once the law enforcement officers write the ticket. Now,
Right,
if
right.
enforcement is relegated to only certain sections where they're going to worry about speeders on 12th Street, and they're not worrying about speeders on North University Avenue where I live. So if I'm not worrying about running red lights out on Chenal, I'm just worried about running red lights on John Barrow, let's
Right.
say. Well, I don't think that the judge should get into the business of telling law enforcement how to do their job, or to tell the chief, for example, that traffic enforcement should be fair. You shouldn't be only enforcing in certain areas, because it certainly looks to anybody in the courtroom that, well, black people don't know how to drive. They're speeding and their tags are under, because I guarantee you there are plenty of white speeders and
Right.
plenty of white red light runners.
Right.
And and white people, plenty of white people with those expired tags, those paper tags still on their car.
Right.
And so I hate to think that enforcement is disproportionate. It might be for some other reason, you know?
I like the way Peggy did that. She skated all around that one.
But all the judge can do is notice.
So,
I guess
so the
I
judge-
could
so the-
I guess I could professionally say, you know, Chief, oh, there's no white speeders. Maybe I could do that. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe if I'm a judge and I get to that and I'm comfortable. I've never actually spoken to the current police chief. I've spoken to our new sheriff many times because we were running at the same time. We cross paths frequently, and we continue to cross paths at
Okay.
events. He's a reach out kind of
Yeah.
alternative
Right.
approach, and I'm glad of that. But for right now, as a public defender and what I routinely see, I won't say on air what I tell a lot of my clients. I just won't talk about it, but recognize that what I see supports the concept of
criminal justice reform.
well, of, you know, let's be fair. Can we just be fair? Because if it appears not fair, then nobody's going to play by any rules. I want everybody to put their seatbelts on and to drive the speed limit and to stop at stop sign. And yes, I want you to get your tags. And you know what? If you just bought a little too much car, you couldn't quite pay the taxes, and so those tags are expired. Why don't we help you fix it instead of just saying, and here, give me another $400 for your error, because
Right.
that's $400 less dollars to pay for
To
the
pay for it,
insurance
right.
that you should have that caused the problem to start with.
I get it.
And it's the same, you know, $400 that if you had it in the first place, you know, we buy a little too much car sometimes.
Okay, Peggy, this is my next question. This is really going to be rough. I want you to take some time to think it through. Don't answer it real quickly. So if you go in the district court now, you will see overwhelmingly they're all white. Will you have a mixture of races and genders in your administration if you are to hire new staff?
Shoot, the staff. I was wondering who you were talking about.
You should have
You know
thought,
what?
like, Peggy's like, what the hell?
But he just said it's majority. No, I didn't realize.
Yeah,
His
that-
staff is all white.
Pretty
The
much.
current court staff in there.
Yeah, I think there's one black on the staff that I've seen.
You know, that's a tricky question right now. A lot of people are employees, and I don't know because I've not been the sitting judge in that
Oh, I
court
got you.
for all these years. And I haven't examined. As I told somebody, I have the rest of March and every other month until the end of December to get as aware as I can be regarding things like staffing, budgeting, everything
Okay.
I can do, scheduling. There's what we call a judicial bench book that kind of guides how you're supposed to run court and how you're supposed to treat people in court.
Okay.
So, if I get to the point of hiring people, I'd like to think that I hire people based on their qualifications. Maybe not necessarily on purpose hiring a black person, but if I need black people there, I think I'd have to do that. That is to say, not set out, just don't, you know, it's not advertised as black people need to apply. Black people only need to apply. It needs to, if I need to be intentional in making sure I show a diverse show, because the people that come into court obviously observe what you observe. I've never paid attention to that.
Mhm.
And I'm not believing you. I believe what you're telling me.
It just bothers
And-
me. It just looks
And
like
I'm sorry. Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like a bunch of white people.
yeah, it just looks like
Boston, what you just otherwise described as a 95%.
yeah. Well, what bothers me most about it is that if you're ever in court and you're sitting there and you see the white officers sitting over there with all the white people sitting up there and all the black people sitting out here, it's kind of like black people are creating jobs for white people, and that bothers me, right?
I
And
hear you. I'm
that's-
listening
that's
right
what-
now. I'm all
That's
about
what's
it.
problematic for me.
I understand.
Yeah, that bothers me in every way. And then on top of that, when you have the judge who's sitting there and he's saying all these negative things to black folks, because again, I mean, I've seen him I've seen him do it on more than one occasion. I mean, like I said, we sat there for 2 whole days, and I must admit the second day he was nicer. I guess because somebody told him we were there, but the second day was a lot nicer. But
Oh, you were there observing.
yeah, we were just sitting in the gallery, just taking it all in. and it was really disappointing. And then even
Sorry to hear that.
even the
And-
guy from the prosecutors, from the public defender's office was really an ass too, Brian somebody or another. But Russ, if you know who I'm talking about, send his name in so we can shout him out. But he was really an ass too. And the thing is that that's horrible. I mean, the least I've always believed the one thing that costs nobody anything is respect and courtesy. That doesn't cost anybody anything. And unfortunately, you often don't find that in courtrooms.
Can the listeners recognize that I'm a white lady?
They probably don't know that.
I probably don't know that. I don't think they picked up on that yet.
Sometimes they don't. I don't know. I had a pastor. He was so funny. He totally overlooked me. Invited me to his church, and he admitted after the service.
He thought you was black.
He said, "Peg, I'm so sorry. I wasn't looking for a white lady." Basically, is what it came down to, because the person sitting next to me kind of stood up and said, "Pastor, your guest is here." And this has been many years ago. And he looked and he realized, oh my gosh, that's Peggy Egan. But back to your thing. I think I might have misspoken. You told me to slow down my answer. Because what you just told me is, should I be in a position to hire people? Well, now here's my corrected answer.
Okay.
Because I'm all about fixing my own mistakes. I will be intentional in hiring black people. Because if my staff has to reflect the community. That's all there is to it.
Right.
And despite the white person who might be best qualified, but I will also share this. And I have a lot to learn regarding that. Those are city employees.
Right.
And to what degree the judge, his or herself, has in their hiring and what their positions is and what they do. But as far as running my court, I think I'm particularly sensitive to how it appears to people, because I, even from the first day in circuit court, where it looks like it's nothing but a bunch of attorneys having a little joke good time, and people's children are in jail and they have high bonds, and it's like, and they're doing their thing. I can't change the fact it's a work environment, and we have professional relationships, and the requirement is you can have all this banter all day long and do all that. But not to recognize that people that are not used to it misinterpret that. So I can appreciate always looking at what any behavior looks like from the audience side. And so to the degree that I could control anything that kind of would make people feel bad, make them feel less. Like you described it, I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
But my
my
plan is to sit in the courtroom as many times as I can between election and taking the bench if I win.
Yeah.
And just seeing it from sitting back in the seats as though I was just there, because I am likely to see exactly the kind of things you described, and therefore be better able to cut that right off.
Yeah, and I think that's why sometimes some of the actions it seems harsher to me when you're sitting in there and you're just watching it from that perspective, because like I said, you got a whole row of white police officers, and you got a whole staff of white folks up there, and then all the black folks sitting out here, and it just ain't a pretty picture. It just ain't pretty. I mean, every now and then, I think one day we went in there was one white guy who was working, who was actually there was one black bailiff, one day, but that was Tuesday, Thursday. So Thursday there was one black bailiff. But my thing is, like I said, just want to make sure everybody's conscious that it's not always a good look.
I'm already re-conscious just by you sharing it right now.
Well, I'm glad.
We're listening to Peggy Egan. Peggy, we've got a few more minutes to go in the show in this hour. I know you've got to run out. Is there anything you'd like to say that we haven't covered to the voters coming up for this election?
I would just like to share. I think early on you might have asked why I picked that seat. My whole life is about improving systems. It's like you see things, you fix them. You fix policies when you teach school about how the school administration handles kids in certain circumstances. Everywhere I've been, I've tried to fix things. And just with the information you're sharing with me from your own experience in the court. suggest ways that can be improved in that specific court. So I would like to be the person that takes the initiative, because for over 20 years now, presumably, it's basically been running the same way. Because nobody's thought about what does it look like, what does it sound like, how is it impacting people. And I want to be the one that makes that system be a better approach to what we want. Safer driving, all that stuff that goes with it. Not just a pipeline to fines and fees and incarceration.
Okay.
And I want to do it because I want to look at people.
So if people want to learn more about you, Peggy, is there any way they can go to?
Well, I'm afraid I didn't do a web page this time around. This is a low-funded approach to campaigning. The only place I have is either my friends or my Facebook page.
Okay.
Peggy Egan for District Court Judge is my Facebook page. Unfortunately, I didn't invest in a web page this time. And it's probably not that expensive. I probably should have come right here and asked y'all to help. But it's kind of
Yeah, Robert could have did it for you.
Yeah, you've been in a whole lot of trouble.
It's kind of late now. I appreciate anybody who is listening today, and I appreciate, and you certainly, my phone number is available for anybody. You send me a text, I'll answer the best I can. My phone number is 501-912-9798. And there's a big long message on there about I'm a public defender and spell your name, because some of y'all don't sound so good when you're leaving messages. Now, I mean, y'all being anybody who's calling me on my phone, that y'all. People leave messages many times that I can't really understand. So speak slowly and spell your name, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
All right. That's Peggy Egan. You're running, tell them again what you're running for.
I'm running for State District Court, 31, Department 2, Little Rock Traffic Court.
Let's get Peggy.
Well, it's
Look at
what's
Peggy.
on your ballot. It's what's on your ballot.
Good job. We're glad we had you in, Peggy. We really appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much for coming in. We wish you luck in we wish you luck in March.
Our general election, I appreciate it very much. I appreciate both of y'all, and I appreciate the listeners.
Well, thank you.
No doubt about
Appreciate
it.
you. Hopefully you'll be successful. Let's hope. We'll have Vic on at some point. We're going to reach out to him and invite him to the show. Unfortunately, we have to because we invited you. So
No, I think
we have to do it.
I'm glad to. I'll make sure I'm tuned in. I'll take a half a day off just to listen to that one.
You might want to do it. It should be interesting.
Thank you. We done?
Yeah, we're done.
Done.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hey, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's Peggy Egan, of course. You all need to get registered to vote today. If you're going to vote in the March 3rd election, you've got to get it done today. Get registered, okay? Thanks for coming in, Peggy. All right. You've got to get registered to vote today if you're going to vote in the March 3rd primary. All right. Let's get that done. Hey, we're going to take the top of the hour break, and when we come back, we'll get into some other news that went on over the weekend. We'll talk a little bit about the Super Bowl, not the game itself, but some of the stuff that had come out of the Super Bowl I found ironic and interesting. We'll talk about that and some of the other things that have went on over the weekend as well. It's called Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices, right here on joinnedradio.com.
The law offices of James F. Swinburne provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered millions for our clients. If you or a loved one have been injured or have property
I read something over the weekend where Little Rock is behind thousands, over $250,000 in traffic fines that have been collected. Did you see that?
They're behind.
Yeah, they're going to start booting cars. They had did that before, and they're supposed to start booting cars now. And I was trying to find that article, but I couldn't find it.
personal injury and products liability attorneys serving Arkansas since 1977.
Hello, my name is David Ashley, and I am the host for Real Talk, Real Money. We do this every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. We hope that you'll join us. I want to talk to you about your children, how they can get free money for their education. I want to talk to you about you, how you can start over in your financial health. We want to talk about
You know of any good black dentists in Little Rock?
Nah, my black dentist died. I've been trying to find another one. I haven't been able to.
Radio. Be there. Join us.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see one here real soon. I got a bad tooth that's acting a fool on me, and it went nuclear this weekend.
The Josh Theater will not be the same. February 29th, 7:30. Pulaski Tech presents Mississippi's Mass Choir. The legend, the Mass. The Grammy Award-winning Mississippi Mass Choir has thrilled audiences around the world with chart-topping singles with life-changing music. Your grace and mercy. And now you can be a part of it. Saturday, February 29th, 7:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale right now at uaptc.edu/charts or call today 501-812-2831. They overrun the Charts box office today because it remains to be seen. The Mississippi Mass Choir is coming to North Little Rock.
You got it. East Little Rock's answer to your aggravation. The Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Colton and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to Black Focus Radio, the second hour. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us if you want to join the show. You can also hit us up on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd love to hear you and talk to you as well. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, of course. Want to thank Peggy Egan for dropping by. We'll periodically have some other candidates to drop by as well. Want to remind you that on Friday afternoon, we'll have Dr. Quinn from Arkansas Tech, who will be in studio with us to talk a little bit about diversity and why it's a joke. And although she is the head of diversity at Arkansas Tech, she'll talk to you about why it's a joke. Y'all get that, right? I'm just saying. So we'll get into that as well. We've got a lot of those stuff to talk about. Of course, this hour, we'll catch up on some of the things that we missed over the weekend. Start off, did you see the tree that was posted in the Michigan State bookstore? Robert, did you see that?
I did.
Let me show it to you. This is supposed to be representative of Black History Month. Now, those of you who all don't know what I'm talking about, Michigan State University, apparently in their bookstore, put up a tree with black figures. And there were ropes on this tree.
That is your history. Do you know
Okay.
it's your history to be roped?
I'm just saying.
You were hung from ropes. Do you not want to be hung from ropes in a tree on Black History Month?
No.
What are you saying, David Cole?
I'm saying
Help me
that
understand
I'm
your
saying
concern
that
here.
was pretty racist, to say the least.
What part was racist?
All of it was racist. By the way, the MSU spokesman, here's her apology. We sincerely apologize to our community members and have immediately removed the display. Additionally, after the Wharton Center reported the incident, it agreed to provide employees, this is what kills me, employees and volunteers with racial bias training that focuses on the impact and understanding of intentional and unintentional racial bias. Y'all get that right? Training. Let me tell you something, folks. You don't have to train people not to be racist. I'm just saying. People that are racist, they are racist because they want to be racist. All right? Let's stop this. Oh, they didn't know. Oh, let's forgive them. Oh, that's so sad. No, we're not going to do this anymore. I said this a long time ago. When you commit a racist act, I'm not forgiving Jack. And I meant to rhyme. I'm just saying. Hats off to Joaquin Phoenix, who slams an all-white lineup in the British Academy Awards acceptance speech. Hats off to him. If you hadn't seen Joker, it's a very interesting take on the Joker.
Okay.
It is. It's a interesting take, and I watch a lot of these developmental type character movies. Like I watched Gotham. I don't know if you ever watched Gotham, but it's interesting to see how the characters developed before they became who they were. And obviously it's different ways, but Joaquin Phoenix played Joker, and he got the best actor in the BAFTA. That's what they call them, awards. That's like the British Academy Awards. Here's what he says. Okay. The BAFTAs have already been very supportive of my career, and I'm deeply appreciative. But I have to say, I also feel conflicted because so many of my fellow actors that are deserving don't have that same privilege. I think that we send a very clear message to people of color that you're not welcome here. Boom. He said, I'm ashamed to say that I'm part of the problem. I have not done everything in my power to ensure that the sets I work are inclusive. But at least I take my hats off to you for shouting it out. And by the way, I don't watch award shows, and I didn't watch that one. And I won't be watching the Academy Awards either. The sister who played Harriet in the movie, she's from Great Britain, and a lot of people, they wanted her to sing, and she turned them down. So hats off to her, you know. Hats off to her.
So I need to tell everybody right now. So when you go to my Facebook page, you see something that's changed on my Facebook page. It's only because I lost a bet to Tom Bender.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a diehard Republican. So our bet every year on whatever we bet on is that somebody has to change their profile page. In the past, he's had pretty Obama stuff on his page and whatever else I can think of. And I've had I Love Sarah Palin on my page. So my status, my something will be changing today. So just know that's why.
Oh, it hadn't changed yet?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
First make
Okay.
all the announcements so I wouldn't get a bunch of blowback.
Okay, all right. So I'll look forward to that later on. By
It's
the
just
way,
a black guy wearing a Trump and Kanye sweatshirt. That's all.
good.
Yeah.
By the way, man dies after argument over Super Bowl turns violent in Fresno.
Really?
Okay. He was shot Saturday after an argument with another man over the Super Bowl. Let's see. Officers responded to the area for a report of a gunshot wound. A homeless man walked up to where the victim, a Latino man in his 20s, who was visiting from out of town, was having a barbecue with people and started an argument with the victim over the Super Bowl since they liked both teams. The argument escalated and the homeless man shot the victim in the abdomen with a makeshift weapon. Okay.
With a makeshift weapon?
It could, yeah, you know, you can make a gun.
What is he, laser printing guns now?
Well, you can do that, or you can do it the old-fashioned way: is get you two sticks and tape them together. All you need is a shell and something hard to contact the back of the bullet, and that's a one-shot pistol. You know those things if you were a Boy Scout. Also, let's see here, longtime Republican consultant. If black people voted Republican, voter ID laws wouldn't happen. Did you hear that? Longtime Republican consultant. He explained that the new wave of voter restrictions is about disenfranchising black voters, not stopping voter fraud. There you go. But y'all ain't gonna vote anyway. You know, if it wasn't so important for you to vote, why do they try to keep you from voting? I'm just asking.
David Coleman.
I'm just asking.
Stop it now.
I'm just asking.
Hey,
So let's talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. Not the game itself. What stood out to you? Did you watch the Super Bowl?
I watched pieces of it. I was touring, man, so I didn't get to watch all of it in its entirety. So there's probably some things I missed.
I watched the entire thing. I watched the entire Super Bowl for the first time in a very long time, probably 5
I
or
will
6
say
years.
this, though.
Did you see halftime?
Yeah.
What did you think about halftime?
You mean J-Lo? Or the two
Just
chicks?
the overall halftime show.
It wasn't nothing. I mean, it was probably a waste, 20-minute waste of my life, pretty much.
Did you get it?
No, I didn't get it.
Okay, I'll explain to you more.
Yeah,
By the
help me
way,
understand it.
during the halftime, I actually tweeted out and posted on Facebook that they should have just played Prince videos. It would have been great.
They could have did something other than what they did.
You know, Prince. Look, they haven't. Look,
I mean, let me tell you this. This troubles me. If Jay-Z, if they bring Jay-Z in, and the only people they could get to do the halftime show was Jennifer Lopez, who's been washed up for years,
and
and
Shakira.
whoever this other chick was. I don't even know who she is.
I thought that was the Shakira that had that little dance with her hips. I think that, isn't that the same one?
I don't know.
But anyway, I think a lot of that had to do with where they were,
Yeah.
being in Miami.
But the
Where
whole stripper pole thing, I thought was really nice.
Oh, okay.
The stripper pole, Rob liked the stripper pole.
okay.
He was down with the stripper pole. Did I say that out loud? I
yeah,
did.
it's amazing that 50-year-old Jennifer could do that, huh? Yeah. Okay.
Alex Rodriguez, my
Strong,
brother.
strong legs.
My brother.
But
You got issues.
what? You brought it up.
Listening to the show.
You brought it
We're not
up.
having the private conversations as you and I, Dave.
You know. So, but there was some interesting things that came out of the halftime.
Okay.
Well, number one, as I said, I tweeted that, you know, they could have just played Prince videos and it would have been a better halftime show. I mean, they haven't had a good halftime show since Prince. Well, you can't top Prince. So stop. They just ought to stop having halftime shows. But that's just me. The other thing that came out of that you watched the entire halftime show. Did you notice the kids? There were a whole lot of subliminal messages in that halftime show.
The kids. I didn't get the kids.
There were some kids singing. One of them was Mark Anthony's daughter.
Yeah, Mark Anthony, J-Lo's daughter.
Right.
Okay.
That was. Did you notice what she was in?
No.
Those little cages.
No.
You didn't notice those little cages that those kids were in?
No.
That was by design. You know what that represents, right?
No.
The kids at the border.
Wow. I didn't see that. Nor did I get it.
Yeah. Do you remember now?
I remember now what you talked about. Yeah.
Okay. Remember that J-Lo came out in a red,
Puerto
white,
Rican
and
flag.
a Puerto Rican fur thing?
Yeah.
That was by design. And what were they singing?
I don't remember.
Born in the USA.
Okay. I'm Dave. Unfortunately, I don't get any of this. Can you please educate me? Because I don't have a damn clue what you're talking about.
So, a lot of Americans don't believe that Puerto Rico is an American
Got
territory.
You. Got you. Okay. I
Okay,
get it now.
and since PLOTUS has been in office, I mean, Puerto Rico, I think last week just had another earthquake. The majority of the people, I thought I saw a piece where at least 50,000 people are living outside. Puerto Rico is an American territory.
Right.
They vote just like we do.
Right. Puerto Rico.
Okay,
Wrong, yeah.
they are American citizens.
Right.
Yet, that show was about you not realizing that they are American citizens, and also about kids being locked up in cages at the border.
Got you.
I thought it was done and a lot of people didn't get it either. A lot of white folks did because there was a big backlash on Twitter about the show. Now, many of them were concerned about Shakira and J-Lo shaking their butt and, shaking their tail feathers and all that. It amazes me the outrage of some white people. You missed the whole message of the halftime because you were too concerned that your children got to see J-Lo and Shakira shake their tails. Well, my question is this. Number one, that's ignorance of culture.
Are you stopping them from watching Pornhub on their phones and everything?
You're going exactly where I'm going.
Get out of here.
But that's ignorance of culture because if you understand Latino culture, and I won't say that I'm a professional, but one thing I do know about Latino culture, that's where the samba and the bogalisa, all of that, their dances are sexually suggestive anyway. If you go back and you look at some of their dances, I don't have a problem with that. That halftime show was designed to, in fact, when I heard that they had picked those two, I knew then that it was going to be surrounding Latin culture. I didn't have a problem with it. Now, the show overall wasn't that great because you tend to want to be able to sing along. Oh, yeah, I remember that song. Oh, that's my... You didn't get any of that. Now, Jenny on the Block, what was the one that I thought she was going to do Opposites Attract. She didn't do that. That was one of her big songs, J-Lo.
I don't remember. I can't tell you one song J-Lo has ever sung.
Well, yeah, you know the song. She was dancing with a cat. The video, we come together like opposites attract, something like that. But she didn't do that. And like I said, the overall show itself was pretty bad. Oh, I won't say it was pretty bad. It was okay. But when you have something like that, and a lot of people don't realize this too, the NFL had an underlying motive as well. Where's one of the countries where they want to relocate a team? Mexico. So that was by design for them to say, hey, you're included as well. That's what that show was about as well from the NFL standpoint, because the NFL knew that they were going to bring those kids out in cages. They knew that. They don't just let you put on a show and then they don't see it until halftime of the Super Bowl. They get an idea of what you're going to do. So I found that was interesting as well. Another aspect that was interesting that Jay-Z and Beyonce, along with Blue Ivy, was at the Super Bowl. That they didn't stand for the national anthem.
Somebody said that was Paula Abdul, dog, not J-Lo.
Okay, I'm sorry. So no wonder she didn't sing that song.
Yeah. Like I said, man, J-Lo, other than the poll, I was pretty much, I was pretty much lost in space.
Well,
I have no clue about anything else.
Well, I thought it was very subliminal.
The first girl, I don't even. The only thing I know she had on red. I didn't spend a lot of time.
That was Shakira.
Yeah, we were talking during that piece, and then the only thing I saw from J-Lo was she was on the pole.
But the kids in the cages.
Didn't see the kids in the cages.
Yeah.
I think somebody that was saying that Shakira was J-Lo's daughter. And so we had a nice 20-minute argument about that during the whole halftime show.
Shakira is not J-Lo's
I know, but
daughter.
you got to have something to argue about during the Super Bowl.
See, that's why I don't go to Super Bowl. See, that's why I don't go to Super Bowl parties.
We argued about that.
See?
And that was pretty good because it got us through the halftime.
See, that's why I don't go to Super Bowl parties.
Dave, you're just too damn intellectual.
No, it's always somebody who says something stupid. Something stupid. Yeah, I can't believe that's J-Lo's daughter.
So next year we're gonna have a Super Bowl party.
I will not be there.
Have a Super Bowl party. We're gonna have a Super Bowl party.
Be there.
We're only gonna invite intellectuals, Dave. So you'll be comfortable.
Well, I'm still not coming
intellectuals
because then they'll start talking about episodes of Star Trek. And then I'll miss
right up your alley.
Right, then I'll miss the rest of the Super Bowl. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'll miss the rest of the Super Bowl.
Well, the Raiders won't be in the Super Bowl, so it won't really matter.
Neither will the Cowboys.
I bet they will. You want to make a bet right now, player?
Aren't you?
You want to make a bet right now, player?
Aren't you through betting?
No, I'm not. Would you like to make a bet right now, player?
You should be. I'm sorry. I don't bet on things I have no control over. Sorry.
Scary people.
I'm just
Scared money,
But-
baby. Scared money.
But I found that Jay-Z them didn't stand for the national anthem as well. And also, wasn't it a bit ironic? Did you see any of the commercials? Did you see the beginning of the game where the little boy ran the game ball into the stadium? I thought that was pretty cool.
More.
This little black kid that you've seen him on
Kid with
YouTube.
cancer.
No.
The Make-A-Wish kid.
No, this guy he's this athlete, Bunchy something, that he was running across the country with the football, and people were saying, take it home, take
That's
it
child
home.
abuse. This actually be in school. Why is he running across the country with a damn football?
Will you let me, will
Okay, go ahead.
you let me finish?
Go ahead, my bad. Go ahead.
And he ultimately ended up in the stadium with the game ball, and he handed it to the referee. I thought that was pretty cool. Little black kid. The other
There was a lot of
one,
black. It was a strong black presence in the Super Bowl.
it sure was. Did you notice that?
Yeah, they're trying to make up, but it ain't happening.
Right.
man. It ain't happening.
I was
It ain't
wondering,
happening.
did you see the commercial about the NFL star whose brother was killed by the police?
Yeah.
I found that interesting.
Not really. I don't find that one interesting at all. I just find the level of blackness at the Super Bowl this year. I find that really surprising. And then when they did the all-time team, I thought that was overwhelmingly black. I was really shocked by that.
I didn't see the all-time team.
They did the all-time team right before the game.
I purposely didn't turn it on until it was just getting ready to start, and then when the national anthem came on, I turned it off.
Yeah.
And then what was the Adams girl that was singing in that?
I don't know.
She looked like she had on a newspaper.
I didn't see it.
Yolanda Adams. She was singing "God Bless America."
Oh, okay.
I turned that off too. I didn't want to hear any of that mess.
I didn't see any of that, so I couldn't tell you. But I did see the.
But her suit looked like it was.
They even paid homage to OJ. They even had OJ in there in his red, white, and blue number 32 Buffalo Bills.
Well. Look, you can't deny what O.J. Simpson did you just can't.
You can only exclude him from the Heisman Trophy.
Right,
You
right.
can't exclude him from anything else.
Right,
I really was. Just to be honest, just to be totally honest, I was really shocked by how black the Super Bowl was this year. And
Well-
they even had DJ Khaled on there.
Yeah.
That was like, y'all really reaching, ain't y'all?
Well, they really went out. It seems to me, and we both could be wrong, but it seems to me that they did go out of their way to include a lot more black people on there than you've seen in the past, which is fine. I mean, that's cool. But at the end of the day, like you said, that still didn't do anything for me. And I found myself sitting there. I didn't really have a dog in the hunt, but I just didn't want Joey Bosa to win. I just didn't.
So, I just got to say, I didn't give a damn who won. I wish they both could have lost.
Yeah.
However, my friends are 49er fans, and because we're in the NFC, I didn't want the 49ers to win, so I made a bet. I had to make sure I was going to lose. I had to make sure they were going to lose, so I made bets on San Francisco with everybody I could make a bet with. So I'm going to be wearing panties this week. I'm going to...
What?
Yeah, I make gag bets. I don't make cash bets. So I'm going to be wearing women's underwear one day this week. Nobody
So-
knows what day.
How are they gonna check?
They won't check. I just got to send them a little picture of it. And then we've agreed that once I...
Oh, don't tell TMI.
I got to download
TMI.
the Snapchat app so I can send it and it can disappear.
How many people know? How many people know you're gonna wear ladies' panties?
I don't know how many knows now because I just announced it on our radio.
Did y'all hear that?
I'm pretty sure that's and,
Robert Webb has got to wear ladies' panties this
but
week.
In every bet, I did not make one bet for Kansas City. I made every bet that San Francisco would win, and I lost. So I will be changing my Facebook page. I'll be wearing women's panties, and more than likely, I will be calling a couple of brothers every morning saying, "Good morning, Kansas City Chiefs is the blank." So
Wow.
every morning I'll be doing that. So hey. It worked out for me. I'm really happy, and I want to thank Wayne Newsom. Hopefully, Wayne's listening.
Wow.
Wayne Newsom, thank you very much for not making a bet with me because I tried to get Wayne to make a bet with me with Kansas that he was going for San Francisco, because San Francisco was his team, but he chickened out. So Thank you very much.
Wow. Ladies. So let me ask you something. Where you going to get granny panties from? I mean, you got to get like a size quadruple X.
Nah, man, you gotta wear thong.
Oh, I wouldn't even say that on the air.
It is what it is.
Oh.
Small price to pay for San Francisco loser, brother. Small price to pay. Small price to pay, my friend.
Man, that's just terrible. Okay, so alrighty. But anyway, just those were just my observations on the game. On the Super Bowl. I didn't really care about the game like you, who won or lost. It didn't really matter to me one way or the other. The only thrill that I got out of it is the fact that it was a good game. So that was the big thrill I got about it. Got out of it. And but other than that, like you say, I found that it was over. And by the way, hats off to the San Francisco 49er cheerleader who kneeled at the anthem as well. I think the NFL, now she probably won't have a job after this year, but I think the NFL, if they didn't get a message, they got the message that this was not going away. So that's a good thing as well. So thrilled about that. It's over now. We move on. And the other thing is shout out to Patrick Mahomes. And I'm looking, someone had posted a meme of Patrick Mahomes saying that George Zimmerman was right in killing Trayvon Martin, and we discussed it a little bit on the show. I have not been able to verify that source, but he is a big police supporter. And those of you who are wondering, Kansas City are definitely going to the White House, which, whatever, I'm not surprised. So
They are definitely going.
yeah, according to Andy Reid, they're definitely going to the White House. Even though your dumb president didn't know where Kansas City played football. Did you see his tweet?
No.
He basically said, congratulations to Kansas City, Kansas. He's a dumbass. He is.
Well,
He's a dumbass.
Dave. Well,
So he got lit up on Twitter after that.
gotta tell you.
Man, they lit him up. But other than that, I'm sitting here trying to think, was there anything else that really stood out to me in this game? To me, it's become anticlimactic as far as I'm concerned. I tend to believe that the both NFC and AFC championship games are more exciting, but it's become anticlimactic to me. But football season is over. Oh, one of the other things I was going to say is Patrick Mahomes is the third black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. And you can definitely look at this year as the year of the black quarterback and Lamar Jackson winning the most valuable player for this year as well. So do you know who those other two black quarterbacks are who won a Super Bowl?
Other black quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got Russell Westbrook.
Russell
Wilson.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook plays for the Houston Rockets.
Russell Wilson and Doug Williams.
Doug Williams, exactly. You know a little black history, don't you?
I know all black history. I'm black.
Oh, good for you.
I'm black and a black and a black.
That reminds me, I have that I'm going to. If you haven't seen that, let me go and find that piece as well. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering what's happening in the impeachment, what's going on with that is that the Republicans are, I'm just going to say it like this, there are more of us than it is of them. All you have to do is vote. The question is whether or not you're going to. Okay?
See, I'm beginning to get irritated with you again.
I don't care.
And go ahead and turn my mic off. I don't care. Turn my mic off.
Okay.
I don't give a.
Hang on a minute. I got something I want to tell you.
And I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. And I'm black, y'all. And I'm black, y'all. And I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blippy black, blacker than black, black. I'm blacker than black, yo. Because I'm black, and I'm black. Yo, I'm black, and I'm black, y'all. And I'm black, and you're black, and I'm black, y'all. And I'm black, y'all. And I'm black, y'all. And I'm black, and you're black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm.
Is that my background music?
There you go.
Is that my background
There you
music?
go.
Look at the black, baby.
I love that. I saw that over the weekend, and I said I've got to post that to my wall. I know a lot of you all are just now celebrating Black History Month, but join us in celebrating it year round. Okay, it won't hurt at all. It really won't. Okay, so so those are all of my observations as far as somebody from Antioch, Tennessee. That's Nashville. Hey, what's up? How y'all doing? Senatobia, Mississippi. We get people Dallas, and let's see, Ashburn, Virginia, Hot Springs, what's up? How y'all doing? Germany is back. So we got people listening from all over the country. But those are my observations from the Super Bowl itself. I'd be curious to, and right, Tanya, they're not going to remove him. We know that. The key is that you just simply got to go out and you got to vote, man. Join my voters experiment. Get registered and vote against Republicans.
What's your voter experience?
I just said it. My voter experiment, not experience.
What's your voter experiment?
Get registered and vote. Everybody vote against Republicans.
I'm just tired of y'all doing this, man. I'm tired of y'all doing this. Why am I voting? What am I getting? What am I getting? See, this is what bothers me. White people are saying, you know what? Black people, y'all need to get out and vote. Y'all need to get out and vote. But okay, I want to get out and vote. But I also want something for my vote. I want something, Dave. Don't keep doing that to me. Don't just tell me to go out there and vote.
You're missing my point.
Okay, tell me your point then.
Okay.
Okay.
First of all,
We're about to have this conversation all over again. Go ahead, Dave.
First of all, we have to get black people to understand what voting is and does. Okay? So the first thing you hear a lot of folks say is, well, it ain't gonna do nothing for me. Okay. So how do you know that if you don't vote? So what I'm doing is an experiment. I want to show black people that if you vote and you vote in a block, that's how you change the system. Okay? So if as many black folks as possible vote in these upcoming elections and vote against a particular candidate, in this case I'm saying Republicans, not to suggest that Democrats are the greatest, but if we vote against Republicans, then that shows you that, hey, look what my vote did. Now we can turn around and go to the Democrats and say, hey, look what we did to the Republicans. Now, if you don't give us what we need or don't give us what our votes are worth, then the next session, we're going to vote you out as well. See, there's a method to this experiment. What I'm trying to do is show black folks how, if you vote, the power of that vote. And then once you realize the power of that vote, then you can begin to utilize it for your benefit. It's kind of like being a superhero. Think about it. When you first become a superhero, you don't know that you're a superhero. You don't know that you can leap tall buildings in a single bound. You don't know that you can run faster than a speeding bullet. You don't know any of those things. But then, once you begin to know that, then you create and do great things.
So
does that make sense?
You're essentially saying we're going to continue to let them abuse us.
No.
We're going to support them all the way through.
That's not what I
And
said,
then
sir.
we're going to learn.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. That's not what I said.
I'm listening.
Okay. The point is that we've got to show. It's almost like. Let me give you another example. It's almost teaching a kid how to play baseball.
Okay, just so you know, before you finish doing all that right there, that you and I are sponsoring a fundraiser for Senator Elliott.
Okay.
We're doing that, just so you know.
When is it?
We haven't. I gotta find a location. We gotta find a location first. Then
Well, if we need it, we can have it here.
And that's a good idea. Then we're gonna try to do that. So I'll get with Senator, and I've already talked to future congressman, future congresswoman,
Yeah,
Senator
thank you.
Elliott. Mm-hmm. So I just gotta. I still did it though, but I gotta get with her.
Okay.
She's
All
gonna
right.
give us a date.
Cool. Let us know.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. But the point I'm trying to make.
That's not an endorsement.
No, I'm
We're
not.
support. We're not.
I'm
we're
not endorsing
We're
it.
not endorsing Joyce Elliott. We just happen to have a fundraiser.
Yeah,
for
we're
her.
just gonna have a fundraiser for them.
And our goal is to raise her 10 grand. So we need y'all to come out and contribute something.
Okay.
Okay. Is that
Sounds
cool,
good.
people? Is that
Sounds
cool, my
good.
people? Sorry, peace.
So, but the point I'm trying to get black people to understand that your vote does mean something. You just got to understand how to use it. Okay. So I'm simply asking I'm actually going to make a promo about it. I'm asking every person, every particularly black person, even if you hadn't voted in a long time, join the vote against Republican experiment. And let's get them out of office. And let's prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that your vote matters. And then, while Democrats are celebrating, oh, we got our offices back. Now you go to Democrats and say, okay, this is what we want. And then they can say, well, they can hem and haw, but all you got to do is point to that last election. Say, hey, did you see what we did last election? We're going to do the same thing to you. Now here's what we want. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to get people to understand, Robert, is that because right now, a lot of folks don't get that your vote does mean something. It's just how you use it.
I agree.
Okay?
I don't disagree.
And collectively, if we use it collectively, we can change a lot of stuff. The problem is we're not using it collectively because at some point, all these candidates ought to be running to the black community begging for our votes.
I agree.
At some point, but the fact that you don't participate, they ain't thinking about you, Republican or Democrat.
I agree.
And here's another point, a good quote that someone sent to me. America, please stop referring to members of, and this hit me like a ton of bricks. America, please stop referring to members of the Senate or the House as leaders. We do not answer to them. They are our representatives and should constantly be reminded of that fact. You get that, right? They represent us. They're not our leaders. We put you there to do our bidding.
We're their leaders.
And we're their leaders. And we've got this whole thing twisted.
But too often we acquiesce to them.
Exactly.
We let them do whatever they want. And that's always bothered me.
Exactly.
And like I said, Dan,
So that's part of re-educating the voting populace. It's kind of like when you hire an attorney. When I was doing father's rights, I would have guys come to me and say, well, the attorney said he wanted to do this. And I would ask them, what do you want to do?
right.
How do you want that case to go? Well, he's the attorney. He knows what he's doing. I said, who's paying the attorney? Well, I'm paying him. Well, you're the damn boss. And if he's not arguing what you want, then he's not your attorney. Fire him.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The same thing applies to these senators and congressmen. I'm going to stop calling them leaders.
Yeah.
We need to call them representatives.
I agree.
And when you say representatives, you represent me.
Right.
And show me what you've done to represent me.
Right.
That's a profound statement to me.
I don't disagree.
So that's kind of how I'm going to start looking at things from this point on. So, but again, join my experiment to vote. You'll be seeing more about this going forward. And don't forget, if you want to vote in the March 3rd primary, then you need to make sure that you register to vote today. I think it's 6 o'clock.
And again, we will come back and let you know about what day we'll actually have the fundraiser. We will have it at the Jordanette Studios. Dave just gave us a Jordanette Studios. We will be having a fundraiser here. So we will give you a date soon. Let you know what day we'll be putting it down. So
Well, looking forward to that
stick
as
and
well.
stay.
So,
Stick and stay, players. Stick and stay.
so, and we've got to, as Roberts likes to say, and I agree, we have to buy back our candidates. Our black
Buy
candidates,
back our politicians, y'all.
they shouldn't
buy
have to
them
be
back.
going to the white community in order to get their
Let's
money.
raise them some money.
Okay, when all of you all are spending money on fake horsehair and fake nails and eyelashes that are 3 feet long, and
You just killed it right there.
I did.
Nobody gonna give us no money.
Did
He
I?
talking about my hair, my nails.
that ain't the women I know.
Oh, I ain't doing okay.
No,
go ahead. Please
I ain't talking
continue.
about none of
Please
them.
continue. Then.
Those women ain't gonna donate anyway.
Please continue. Then.
Girl, I gotta get my nails done.
And I got a couple of y'all who listen to the show regularly. We expect you to be in attendance, so don't think we playing.
Yeah, let's pack the house out. I would like for it. This is and this will give you an opportunity as well to come down to joinedradio.com.
Yeah, come down and check us out.
And you know what? I'll depending on what time we do it, I'll talk to JC, and we might do some live drop-ins during the event.
Yeah, we'll probably do it at 5 o'clock. Do it at 5 o'clock.
Right.
Do it at 5 o'clock, yeah.
Right. So we'll do some live drop-ins on Robert Craig's show. He's usually on from 5 to 7 in the afternoons, drive time. So we'll do some live drop-ins to get people in here, get Joyce Elliott in here to talk a little bit as well. But we want everybody to come down. If you can't come down, we certainly want you to make a donation. Okay?
Without a doubt.
Make a donation. $2, $1,
$50,
$50,
$100,
$100.
$200, $500.
No, so we want to raise some
Whatever
money.
you can do. We want to raise 10 grand for Senator Elliott. We want to make sure that some black folk raise her 10 grand. So that's our goal, y'all. $10,000 for Senator Elliott for her campaign. We ain't gonna buy her out completely, but we at least can make a down payment on that ass.
And it could certainly let her know that we got her back, because we should. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So let's make sure. What is your problem?
Dave said, yeah, tell Dave, yes, please continue to attack the women. Player.
Okay.
Player.
Y'all are so sensitive. Y'all, I think I know who said that.
Yeah, he continue attacking the women, player.
Hey, I love me some black women. I don't care. Weave, bad hair, all. I love me some black women. You know what y'all talking about.
Keep attacking the black women, please.
Y'all so sensitive. So I think that's, let's see. I think that's just about it on what I have today.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna give a shout out to the state, man. The state got a state. So the state, I don't know if you read the paper yesterday, but man, they had this article.
I don't read the paper.
You don't read the paper. That's right. I forgot about that day. You don't read the newspaper.
I don't read the local rag, no.
But I read the local rag yesterday, as always. And
Did you buy it?
I did, unfortunately.
You did?
I did.
Why are you supporting that Republican rag?
What do you want me to support, Dave?
Anything but that.
Let me tell you what you want to support. I'll start buying.
It's anti-black. It's anti-public schools.
So is Arkansas Times. They don't have no black. They ain't got no black reporters over there.
We're talking about the Democrat Gazette right now.
Care.
You just did a Republican trick.
They both just as bad. You can't call out one without calling out
I don't. I look.
They both bad.
Well, we're talking about
They're
the
both
Democrat.
bad.
Okay, they're both bad.
Okay.
So why are you spending money and giving that money to those races?
Because I need to know what's happening. How else can I know what's happening?
The internet.
I won't read the paper anymore, Dave. That's the last Sunday I'll ever read the paper.
I-
I'm not buying the paper today.
Okay, good.
I already bought it this morning and read it, so never mind. But hey,
Oh Lord have mercy.
I won't read the paper again. I'll just come in here just completely uninformed, and we'll just have conversations. How about that, Dave? How about that, David Coleman?
All right. You can always get plenty of Arkansas and Little Rock news from other sources, as I do.
So, let me tell you what's problematic for me, Dave. I'm used to being before the news, not after the news. I don't like that, Dave. I like being before the news. I like knowing that the news is going to be in the paper so I can say, that's some BS. But like I was saying, so if you're an Arkansas resident, you're going to have a tax break. And so you're going to save $2 a pay period. You're going to save $2 a pay period. If you make $24,000, you're gonna save $2 and change, because the great governor, he dropped the index from 6% to 5.9. Way to go! Hello. So if you make $40,000, you'll save $7, I think it is, and it's a pay period. And if you make over $80,000, you'll save $11. So there you go. Good luck with all that money you're going to save.
But see, Ace is up to his old little shenanigans again.
Yeah.
He won't tell you how much he's going to save, but he'll say, I dropped the tax rate.
Well, that's what you're going to save. $2. $2, $7, and $11. But the thing is, this is what I always want people to realize. If you give me a break somewhere, you got to make up for it somewhere else. So where does that happen? Because that's the conversation we never have. Okay, so you're going to give me a tax break. Well, okay. If you're going to give me a tax break, then how are you going to pay for the break you're giving me? How do I pay for that? Because somebody has to pay for it. Because that's a loss of revenue.
It doesn't matter.
And speaking of, your mayor, Dave, is going to...
He's your mayor too.
Your mayor is going to
He's
hire
your mayor
an
too.
equity officer.
Okay.
What do you think, Dave?
What's an equity officer?
Supposedly, your equity officer would make sure that minorities and women are getting business opportunities. Also, LGBTQLMS are getting opportunities with the city.
Okay.
Okay.
Is this equity officer going to be black or white?
Dave, that's the $1 million question.
You know, I think that's going to work. Tell the mayor to listen to the show Friday. Because isn't an equity officer the same as a diversity
manager? Yeah.
We so bad.
No. We gotta believe in Mayor Scott. I mean,
I think his intentions are
I believe
okay.
his intentions are good.
But
I believe they are.
The question, and I'm going to reach out to Mayor Scott. We hadn't had him on the show in a while.
Yeah, bring him on. There's a lot of stuff he got going on.
The question is whether or not that particular person will it be effective? Because see, what I found and what Dr. Quinn briefly told me when I had the conversation, what I found is that those offices, and I'm not speaking of her, she'll tell you herself, those offices are public relations stunts.
Yeah.
They number one have no teeth. Most of the people that are in power run interference to keep the young people from, or the people who are in those offices from making effective change. So the question is whether or not that will be the same for what did you call him? Diversity.
The chief equity officer.
Chief
the
equity
CEO?
officer. Okay.
Well, man, I'm just Robert Webb, and I can't do nothing other than be honest. Who you hire to me says everything. And for education, you hire Jay Barr. So, for me, it says everything.
So
Black folk got problems, white folk get jobs. I love that. I love the way that works.
So what you're saying?
I love the way that works.
So what you?
I love the way that works.
Okay.
I love the way that works.
Okay.
Black folk got problems, but white folk get jobs. I love the way that works.
Okay.
I love the way that works.
All right.
I do.
So what you're saying is, if he hires a white person, then that's water under the bridge.
I don't care who he hires water under the bridge. It don't matter. But my point to you is, whenever black folk got issues, white folk get jobs.
Yeah, because
that bothers me.
They got all the answers.
That bothers me.
They can fix everything.
That bothers me.
Well,
that truly bothers me.
Well, Robert, what can you fix?
When you want to fix?
Now.
Shit, give me something. I got you. Whatever you need, player.
There's some potholes right there on Markham where you turn right off into the Capitol.
Okay.
I need those taken care of, dog.
Consider it done. They'll be done by 5.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, cool.
I'm not gonna put too much on you. I'm just gonna see if you can follow through.
I got you faded, Black. When you come out of tomorrow, don't look for them potholes. They'll be fixed.
I won't have to look for them. Hell, they'll almost knock me out of my car. They're so deep.
Well, maybe you should go that way tomorrow.
Well, unless I avoid them. So
you got to hook up with the mayor. You got the mayor's phone number in your cell phone. Why are you tripping with me about getting some potholes fixed? Come on, player. What's happening?
I'm just saying.
What's happening, player?
I believe in you.
You can reach out to the mayor whenever you want to. I gotta call his secretary and get an appointment with the mayor. You can just pick up your phone and just, there you go, player.
Why you hating?
There you go, player. I gotta call the mayor and be like, yes, Miss Secretary, could you give me a meeting with the mayor? Dave Coleman texting mad shit. Stuff happens. What'd you text the man? What'd he do? Tell us again. What'd you text the man? You texted me. He did something.
I sent him an instant message during Kwanzaa to change the bridge lights to red, black, and green.
And he did it.
I thought it was a great gesture on his part.
Man, that's power, Dave. That's real power.
Yeah, right.
That's real power. Dude, yeah. I'm serious as a mug, man. I ain't never.
I'm pretty sure he was thinking about it for himself anyway. It just so happens that when I encouraged it, he said, well, see, someone else is thinking about it, so it's a good thing.
Dave got juice. Dave be juiced up. Dave Coleman juiced up, y'all. So, hey, if y'all want something done in the city of Little Rock, Dave Coleman has access to the mayor. All you got to do is reach out. Dave Coleman got it on lock.
Well, they have access to the mayor as well. You know how you
Well,
can.
the mayor does not do stuff they ask him to do. You just asked
Well-
him to change the Kwanzaa lights on the bridge, and it was a done dilly.
Well, maybe if they participated and got involved, they too could get that same access. That's what I'm saying. So let me tell you how you can start. The city board meeting is every Tuesday night
Okay,
at
good
6
point.
o'clock. Okay? The mayor is usually there. And you know what else? He'll talk to you. Okay? So all you've got to do is go to the city board. That means you're getting involved, girls and boys. Go to the city board meeting, and there you go. That's what you got to do.
I get you. So people have just texted me questions, and so people have said that if we don't have someone on our show, are we saying we don't endorse them?
No.
We don't endorse anybody, but if they're not on our show, you just have to ask me who it is. But more likely, we've extended an invitation to them to come. We extended the invitation to Peggy. We extended the judge to Jonathan Warren, who's running for juvenile court, and we'll extend invitations to other folks. If they're not here, they're not here because they didn't want to come. So if they don't want to come do Black Focus, then that goes without saying what you should do.
Right. Or the other point is that y'all are listening. Y'all apparently listen on a regular basis. Reach out to whomever that person is that hadn't been on the show and say, hey, why don't you go get on Black Focus? We've said over and over again, the door is wide open for people to come on this show.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm not going to allow you to do is use this show as a campaign stop, and then you don't want to pay any money to run ads on this station. But I'll get you on here once to talk about the issues, and so whomever that is that you want to hear on the show, call them up and say, hey, call Robert, call David, let's get them on the show. Don't have a problem with that at all.
Call David because David can call the mayor.
The mayor has nothing to do with the show, sir. Okay?
Dave, you got juice, man. You got all these people following us. Dave, how many judges can call a judge, Dave? Let's call a judge, Dave.
You the one got the clout.
Yeah, whatever, Dave.
You know
don't,
you
don't
do.
be trying to flip it back on me.
No,
don't
bro.
flip it back on me. Clay. Don't
No,
even
bro.
do that.
I mean, if
I hate you.
all I got to do is say, Robert Webb, don't you? Oh yeah, I know that brother, man. That's a deep brother right there. I say I'm just on his show.
Yeah, whatever, man. Will you stop
You
that
know.
nonsense?
So no, it's on you, bro. It's on you. So
Tell me again how those lights got changed at the bridge?
somebody sent in a question there.
Yeah, whatever. They got juice in Little Rock, y'all. They got that juice.
So I'm just saying, folks. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. By the way, Robert, while you're over there acting a fool, make sure that you got your quote ready. The Black News Channel is set to launch in February. It's a 24-hour national outlet that target black viewers. Looking forward to see how that plays out. And to see, I will watch it just to see its lean one way or the other. And if it's not leaning towards black people, then it's not worth it. So I'll watch it. I still haven't gotten an update on the exact date it's supposed to start. It was actually supposed to start back in November, if I remember correctly. And it didn't at that time, but apparently it is set to launch here in February, possibly because of Black History Month. So that's fine. Now, one of the things that I want to tell you, and boy, they are wearing white women out. They say the same folks calling J-Lo and Shakira at the Super Bowl halftime show inappropriate are the same ones that call Melania Trump a classic woman. Oops. Okay. 855-525-5683 is the number here. Let's see what else I got. Not to depress Bears fans. Oh, yeah, I see that. I got that. I think that's all as far as what we're going to talk about today. GOP is eyeing payback to Biden. And give me a break. how you gonna pay back Biden? You don't run the House. I'm a little tired of them as well. I'm just going through and making sure we got all the stories updated from the weekend. I know we've got some more. I think most of the stories. Oh, by the way, the Razorbacks won a big game over the weekend as well. Congratulations to them. My question is, if Mike Anderson was still the head coach, could he be 15-5? I think so. I am not overly impressed with this particular coach, although he's doing okay. So that's just me.
Yeah, black. You just black. You just blacker than black in the bottom. Black dog.
Hey, I can't help it if I wanted to. Couldn't help it even if I could. Let's see. Oh, by the way, I guess this weekend, a guy doing Bite Squad was shot while delivering food. Well, that is kind of sad, but as a lot of those people don't realize that, those guys they don't carry money. But what difference does that make?
Not really smart.
And those two young ladies that were killed last week down on 31st and Ringo,
Right.
we still haven't gotten any news on the culprit that I'm aware of. I'm going to tell you like this, folks. If that were your relative, would you want someone to snitch?
Oh yeah, we need to. I need to. Yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. If that were your relative, would you want someone to call the police? And by the way, a 2-year-old boy was also shot in that horrific crime as well.
How is the kid doing?
I have not heard lately how the kid is doing, but the bottom line is this, is that Little Rock is a war zone, and if if you don't tell on the criminals, then that gives them carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want. And that's what they're doing. We already know that police cannot stop criminals. We know police don't stop crime. They respond to crime. What stops crime are citizens. And if we're going to sit around, turn away when we see something bad happening, or not turning in people that are committing heinous acts, then you're no better than them, as far as I'm concerned. You're no better than them. Those two beautiful young ladies that were murdered last week don't know the circumstances. But let me ask you a question. If they would have been murdered by white police officers, would you be protesting? Yes, you would. If they were murdered by white police officers, you'd be raising, well, maybe not here in Little Rock, because y'all are passive anyway. But theoretically, you all would be raising all kinds of hell if those were white police officers who had killed those women. But somebody killed them. They did. Why aren't you willing to stand up for them? Why aren't you willing to turn them in?
Preach, black man.
I'm just saying, if we're going to stop this in Little Rock, because this is our home. This is our home. If we're going to stop it, we as citizens of Little Rock have got to stop it. I'm just saying. All right?
I just got a text that said he is out of the hospital. So.
The baby is out of the hospital.
Yeah, he's out of the hospital.
Great. But we got to stop this, man. We can't complain about white people killing black people when we won't complain about black people killing black people. I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it. And you ought to be too. Anyway, we've got to get out of here. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks, Peggy Egan, for coming by as well. Robert, I hope you have your quote. Robert, I hope you have your quote.
I don't need you hating on me, player.
Robert, I hope you have your quote.
I don't need you hating.
Do you have your quote, sir?
Like, I'm always ready.
Okay. Proceed, sir.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daylight of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love have the final word. You know who that was. That was your man, Dr. Martin Luther King.
Wow.
Spend money in your own, invest in your own community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
Dream like Martin, lead like Harriet, fight like Malcolm, think like Garvey, write like Maya, build like Madam CJ, speak like Frederick, educate like W.E.B., believe like Thurgood, and challenge like Rosa. Y'all have a great day.
Peace. All right, Black Man.
You've been listening
All right,
to
man. Have a good day.
our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on JoinetRadio.com.